Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
We're Derps and Burps, the podcast for all gamers, spiritual souls, and creative minds out there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast. And it is our 22nd episode. 22nd episode. I get a lisp from saying that. Welcome back, everybody. We obviously hope that you're doing well, and we're happy to have you here starting your week together with us. And if you're not listening to this on a Monday, and no matter what day of the week it is, we hope you're doing wonderful and the week was fine for you so far. Oh, you switched to the right microphone now.
Yeah, because we didn't realize I wasn't.
I didn't notice either. I was just like, oh, wait, that sounds better.
Yeah.
You almost had Stefie in like a really bad microphone.
Arash quality.
Arash suka blöt. So anyway, guys, today is going to be a little bit of a different episode because the topic we're going to talk about is pretty spontaneous, and it's not really like a topic in a sense. So basically it is about an interview that I watched yesterday on Netflix between Ryan Reynolds and David Letterman. Actually, we're gonna talk about it in depth a little bit more later, but yeah, I watched it yesterday, and they were basically talking about their dads and how they realized after the death of their parents that they actually never really got to know the person that their father was, but only knew them as a parent. And I thought that
this is gonna be a very emotional episode for me.
Oh, probably also for me as well, but like in a different way than Stefie. Like I think it's also gonna be really interesting because Stefie and me are, if you know us, on when it comes to parents and like the way we're growing up and stuff, we're like the exact opposite. We're like the exact polar opposites the way we grew up, more or less.
Yeah.
True. Stefie's already wiping the first
I need to prepare, guys. It's like, that's gonna be a tough one for me, not gonna lie.
I'm so sorry, Stefie, did I do this to you?
No worries. Also, we need to before we start, we need to talk about our.
Oh my god, we look different. I hope you like it. I think we teased it last week. That we said we're gonna change the look of our podcast. The way the overlay, because the way we designed it first was kind of thought for Twitch, because
live
we wanted
streaming,
to do it live. Steffi's still wiping the tears.
I just want the pre-cum, guys.
Das Lusttröpfchen tropft schon aus dem Augen. So yeah, anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, I think you're probably gonna enjoy this version a little bit more than the old one. So this is the first change, but you know, we were like, you know what, it would be a little bit too boring, right, if that would stay like this. So a little teaser for next week, there's gonna be even bigger changes to the podcast and to derps and burps in general. You know those kind of things when mommy and mommy love each other very much, and out of 2 becomes 3, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what's kind of gonna happen. So starting next week, we're gonna be 3, but we're not gonna tell you who our little love child is gonna be.
You can guess. Yeah,
guys. Exactly. We want to hear your guesses. So basically, somebody's gonna join our podcast on the regular. Sometimes it's gonna be the 3 of us. Sometimes you're only gonna have 2 of us. Maybe the new person and Steffi, the new person and me, just to change it a little bit up, bring a little bit of more new, fresh wind in, new ideas. A third way of looking at things. Like, as I already said, Steffi and me are really different in our upbringing, in our thinking, and on the same. At the same time, we're still on the same vibe. And I think with that third person, we have a really, really interesting third point of view that's going to spice everything up. Make it maybe also going to make it a little bit more funny. So here as a little breadcrumb in your direction. So maybe a little bit more who it's going to be. Let us know in the comments. Let's see who's gonna guess it first, who it's going to be. But yeah. That was enough of an introduction of what's gonna happen in today's podcast, and I think we should start with catching the people up. What happened? What happened in the last week for you, Steffi?
I was working a lot. We had a catering for Porsche,
Ooh.
and like street food market in Graz was fucking hot. I love summer, but in the truck it has like most of the times it has like I don't know 70 degrees. So
Jesus.
it's fucking hot, but by now I'm used to it. It's just very exhausting if there's no like full going on like working
Mm-hmm.
because obviously if someone orders one burger it takes the same time for like to make 10 burgers, and the most exhausting thing is or most annoying thing is when one person like every 10 minutes one person comes and orders something, because you
Mm-hmm.
always have this stop and go instead of like go nonstop for I don't know 2 to 3 hours and then you're done
Yeah.
because everyone's satisfied. So and then with the combo of it being very hot, it's just very draining.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fine. I'm finally like done with the Graz street food market. So we chillin', we streaming during the week, and then on
What are
Thursday,
you
Friday.
streaming at the moment? You played the horror game with Ben the other day, right? I saw.
We started Project Zero, yes, because I had one weekend off where we
Mm-hmm.
could like play something together. By the time you hear this, the new like Dark Pictures anthology game came out already, which we would
Ooh.
like to play as well. I don't know if we played it by now already, so I need to like assort
Think,
future,
yeah.
present, and past right now. But yeah, the Quarry's coming out as well, or came out already.
Mm-hmm.
So this one would be interesting to play. Looks very, very identical to Until Dawn, which was so
Oh.
far the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously like Apex. Every after every weekend I'm so hyped to play Apex again because I had kind of a break of like 4 days, right? 3 to 4 days every
Yeah.
week. So I'm like, oh my god, I need to grind. I need to grind. But I also saw, Julia, you were playing Elden Ring, and Max
Oh
said
my
you
god.
were fucking mauling.
Oh, Jesus, I hate it. Like, oh my god. Like, Soul games, right? I played Dark Souls 3 on stream because
Mm-hmm,
I think it was something I promised chat or I lost a bet or
mm-hmm.
something like that. Like, for the people that don't know, I hate Soul games. It is literally the one thing in a video game that can trigger the shit out of me. Like, it's so
You know
frustrating.
why?
Why?
Because there's a lot of patience involved in
Yeah,
these
exactly. And I
games.
have zero. I have
I
zero patience.
My
None.
patience is wearing thin as well in these games. But Elden Ring was actually the first one I tried. I never
Okay.
played Dark Souls before, and I was just scared the whole time because then you sometimes like activate these trap cards, right? Where you're in like caves, and all of a sudden there's like one of these mini bosses, and I'm like,
Mm.
fuck, how do I get out of this now?
Get me out of
So
here.
yeah, it's like it was a very new experience for me
Mm-hmm.
because I never played these games before, and I knew like you have to like dodge a lot, parry and shit, and I hate dodging. It's like I
Same.
either go super silent assassin mode like in Assassin's Creed,
Yeah.
or I just like go full on and just kill him. But
That's
you
me.
can't
I
do that
just
in these
run in
games.
and hack and slash, and I just want to be able to, I don't know, just spam a
Yeah.
button and kill them anyway. Like,
Yeah, that doesn't work in these games, so you
no.
need to find a way to like make it work. And it's like, oh my god, okay. I was so afraid of every single like area where I was at because everything literally like kills you. So I just like ran around in areas which I already knew and
Mm-hmm.
sneaked around and killed some mobs to get some XP and level. Because there's a lot of things that can help you for the big bosses. Like the first one, Magit. I don't know if you
No,
were
no, no.
okay, okay,
I
yeah.
played 2 hours. I played 2 hours of the game. Like, the thing is, I
Mm-hmm.
was in Munich with Sasso. I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk about that in a little bit. Um, so basically he was like, oh yeah, it's such a beautiful game, and when I was at the event everybody was just talking about how beautiful and how nice the game is, and I obviously like saw people play it, and I saw like
Mm.
also like the artwork and everything, and it looks really really pretty, and I love open world games.
Mhm.
um but dude, I started playing it. I played 2 hours, and if Mara wouldn't have been there to at least be like, yeah, you might not want to go in this cave. Maybe try this one. This one's a little bit easier. So I just went into one cave with a bunch of wolves, and there's like this red red
Yeah.
werewolf kind of dude. And I don't know, I already wiped like, I don't know, half an hour on like the easiest boss in the game. And it fucking triggered me.
Which class? Sorry.
I'm playing as samurai, or I was playing
Okay.
as samurai because I thought they were looking cool, you know? So I understand the principle why people like it. Like, you spend half an hour or like multiple hours wiping on a boss, getting frustrated, and then the satisfaction.
Torturing yourself.
Exactly. And then the satisfaction you get out of killing that one boss makes up for all the
suffering
for all the suffering you had in before. So I guess that's why people like it, right? It gives them like a huge sense of satisfaction. But for me, oh man, that was a motorcycle. For me personally, it doesn't balance each other out.
Yeah,
like,
neither.
I just don't have the patience.
Fuck the shit.
For me, it's not enjoyable. I would love to play that game if there would be a mode where you could just, you know, like enjoy the story and just, you know, slaughter some monsters in there. I totally understand that that's not the point of the game, so obviously they don't implement that, which is totally fine. But I have to say, for me personally, Soul games is just something that I'm not shaped to play.
Yeah. To me, like, killing this one thing also doesn't make up all the pain I went through. So it's like, I'm like, bro, and you literally, like, I know Max was screaming so hours. I heard him screaming for hours because he couldn't like kill the bosses. He finished it though. It took him like, I don't know, 40 hours or so to finish the game, but he just did like main story and everything.
Yeah. Sasu
didn't
played the
really
game for
explore much.
250 hours.
Yeah, because you can explore so much in this game.
Every single
it's
pixel
beautiful
in this game. I mean, it is for sure. If it wouldn't be so fucking hard.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't. There's no satisfaction for me when maybe if I get more into it, because there was only one mini boss I killed so far, and it took me, I don't know, half an hour, which probably like takes a normal Souls player like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, fuck, I died so often there already. And then when I finally killed it, I was like, I was more annoyed and pissed that it took me so long than happy that it, like, I finished it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't get this level of satisfaction either. Like, it's fun for a certain amount of time, but at some point I'm like, dude, I'm not torturing myself with this. Like, there's no point. I'd rather grind in my other games.
Exactly. I mean, I'm happy that there's so many different kinds of games that people enjoy in different ways. So that's totally fine for me. But I don't know, Souls games, dude, I don't know how people do it. I really
for masochists.
Yeah, 100%. Or people that are really skilled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a filthy casual.
Skilled masochists.
Dude, I'm fine with learning combos and like shit, but if I have to dodge, parry, roll, wait till my energy bar fills up again so I can dodge again, and then I get stun locked in some shit, or like, you can't animation cancel either. So once you start an attack, you cannot like press the roll button and roll away. No, then you're fucked, and then you automatically hit 3 times and they have 1 HP, and then you have 3 potions, and then you're fucking rip. Like, fuck that shit. Honestly, sorry, but no, thank you.
I only have to say, I started playing the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game on Jedi Grandmaster is the highest, I think. With the, like, after I finished the whole game, and to be fair, I think it's for me, it's a combination of the sound design, the whole world I'm in, and the difficulty. Because in that game, it's so satisfying when you like parry or like just block something. Because after that, you get a fucking epic animation, like in slow-mo, like in the old Prince of Persia games, you remember?
Yeah.
And that's so, like, it feels so satisfying in this game for me, because I love Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, the combo of everything makes it like very enjoyable for me. But Dark Souls is just, as you said, it's okay to try it out, and I kind of have the urge to progress in the game just to prove myself that I can if I want.
Yeah, I get that.
But I don't know if I will ever do it.
Like
Let's
again,
see.
like it is a beautiful game, but I think
Yeah.
for me, as you say, it would have to be like the exact type of game that I love. You know, like if you would check every other box for me, then maybe like I don't know if it's like a Final Fantasy like game, something like that, maybe. But this way, no, definitely not. But yeah, let's. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about where I have been this weekend. So for you, it's 2 weeks ago because again, like we record this, so it was a little bit delayed. So I was invited to the Logitech event in Munich. It's their pop event. They brought out like a new keyboard and mouse in like some super cool, fun colors. And they invited a lot of different people. So it was not really a release for the Logitech G, so not for the gaming line, but more for like the home office, like casual, you know, home, whatever wear kind of thing. So there was a lot of creators that had absolutely nothing to do with streaming, right? So there were like fun TikTokers, lifestyle, there were singers, there were like so many cool people that I, you know, had no idea about that were invited there. And I actually took Cecil with me there. We drove there to Munich and it was the weekend of Pfingsten. I don't know. Spring break kind of weekend, exactly. And we drove there, and on the way there was like insane traffic jam. On the other way back, like from Germany back to Austria, and we were like, haha, those idiots. You know, we drove there on Friday and we drove home on Saturday, and we were like, haha, those idiots drive on a Friday from Germany to Austria, fucking doofuses. And we were like, oh, it's gonna be so chill. We're gonna drive home on a Saturday. There's gonna be no traffic jam anymore. Jokes on us.
Lol.
Lol. We got fucked. We drove home 9 hours from Munich to Klagenfurt, which is usually a 4-hour drive. So we got fucked big time. That was instant karma for us. There was a part where it took us on a highway 2 kilometers, almost 2 hours. That was, yeah, I don't know. I've never been in such a traffic jam before. It was horrendous. It was really bad. And especially like once you got out of the traffic jam, you couldn't even like stop at one of the rest station because everybody would stop there. So you had to pee and you had to then wait at the gas station or whatever for like half an hour to even get into the toilet, and the toilets looked according to that. So it was just so exhausting as well. But to be honest, like I had good company, so it wasn't that bad. And the event itself was really cool. Like they picked us up at the hotel with like those
the bus, right?
school, yeah, it was like old school American school so cool. buses, and they had like a bar in there, and they played like really cool like old school like 50s music that was like fitting to everything. And we had like photo stops where we stopped, and at the event itself they had a barbecue. They made like mini burgers, like normal ones, vegan, vegetarian. They had and I tried something crazy that I never tried before. I have to say, if you've never tried it, try it. You know dates, right? So datteln. And they had datteln wrapped in bacon and grilled. So you have like the salty, crispy bacon, and then the really sweet dates on the inside. I was like, that sounds really weird. But I tried it, and that was literally amazing. Dates wrapped in bacon. Try it. Like, I'm not a big date fan either. Like, dates are really sweet and sticky, and I'm like, it's just too much for me. But, like, that was a really, really nice snack. Like, you know, on like a little what's it called? Like the little wooden sticks. Like the Zahnstocher. What do you call them? Toothpicks? Yeah, like a toothpick snack kind of thing.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I think at my party, on my birthday party this week, I'm gonna serve dates wrapped in bacon as little appetizers because that was delicious. So I found something cool. Then coming Tuesday, so I think when this episode is airing, it already happened. I'm gonna have the big Become the Next Creator from Logitech. They hosted this year again. This year a little bit different with challenges. And I have been given the first challenge where within 1 hour I have to cook a dish and they gave me something that I need to use. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it on the video as well. They decided to give me a cotton
candy machine.
A cotton candy machine. So I need to make a dish using cotton candy.
Okay.
It needs to be edible, and I need to do it within 1.5 hours. And I set myself the goal that I'm not gonna go the easy route and make a dessert. I'm gonna make like a main dish, like a savory dish.
Okay.
With cotton candy. So I'm really excited for that.
Intrigued.
And
but
I
think,
yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, how does it? Sorry, how does it? Like, you guys are doing some challenges this year.
Yes. So basically, how it works, I think it's every month or so. I'm not sure. A new creator gets a challenge. So for me, it's like the cooking challenge where I need to use the cotton candy, and then what I did, I let my community decide a second ingredient that I'm gonna have to use as well in the challenge. So because I said I want to make something savory, they said I need to use peaches.
Oh my god. Okay.
So I need to use cotton candy and peaches for a savory dish. And then basically I need to finish that within 1.5 hours live on stream.
Yeah.
And then what's gonna happen is that the people that watch it have to recreate a dish using the same ingredients. So they need to use cotton candy and a peach.
Oh my god.
But in whatever dish they want. They just need to have the same thing. Then post a picture or a video, a reel, whatever they want, using those 3 ingredients and the hashtag, become the next creator. And then there's going to be, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is per challenge, there's going to be 3 winners. And every month there's a new one. I think the one after me is Farbenfuchs. I think she does some DIY challenge or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really cool. And there's going to be more coming up. So, and for every challenge, there's going to be like a certain number of winners. I think for each challenge, there's 3 winners. So it's really, really cool the way they did it. So it's not only just one person that can win something, but it's actually multiple ones.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, then it was Nathan's birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
Nita and Sazo were here, because we drove back from Munich, and then Nita picked Sazo up. We had some Sachertorte for Nathan's birthday. And we were just chilling, and it was a pretty chill birthday. Yeah.
Cool.
That was basically it, yeah. And you ordered the new furniture, right? Do you remember correctly? It looks so good.
By the time you listen to this, it might have arrived already. I think I expect it to be here between 20th June.
Yeah.
Somewhere between that. I should get it by then. I hope I got it. By then.
I'm crossing my fingers.
I'm super excited about it. Like, I'm currently just replacing old shared apartment furniture we still have with stuff I actually want, and that is like living as long as I am. So I basically am planning to not replace that ever again. So I spend a little bit of more money on it.
So higher quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you buy there's nothing bad there's nothing bad with buying cheap furniture or used furniture or something like that, but as you say, once you get to a certain age where you know what your style is and how you want your home to look like, and you piece by piece start exchanging, let's say, furniture that was maybe more just necessary to have and not necessarily beautiful to look at, and then you replace that with a statement piece or like a high quality, beautiful to look at thing. That is so satisfying. That's something so nice. And then you value that thing, and you go into the room, and every time you see it, you're like, oh my god, I'm
super
so happy
happy.
I got this.
Yes. And that's what I'm currently doing. There's only a few things I wanna exchange in this apartment right now. There's a few shelves which are still the compromise shelves, right, from our back in the days student times. So, and now that I finally have my apartment, together with Max, obviously, I can finally do everything the way I want it.
Yeah,
And now
really
I'm so excited for the shelf. It's a pretty big one, and I looked it up today. It has like 45 kilos.
oh shit.
So yeah,
I hope they
but I
carry it out
think
for you, huh?
yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
They should.
I just hope I'm home. That's the
Oh
only
my.
thing.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah,
Max is home at least.
yeah. Any of us, like
Yeah,
either him or me, so we can at least hear when they're ringing the bell,
yeah.
and then bring it up. I fucking hope they
I'm
bring it up.
crossing my fingers for you. Oh, I just
Thank you.
realized that just one more thing before we go into
Uh-huh.
our topic for today, because I think you're done with your
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing new.
I just realized,
Said that.
because we have it on our list what to talk about. On the last episode, I think I was talking about that I'm thinking about starting coaching, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Was that the
yeah.
one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So as I kind of teased last episode, I think I'm probably gonna start coaching or like helping other creators to be maybe more organized, help them find sponsors, help them kind of organize, plan, and how to create a good routine and how to work efficiently on multiple platforms at the same time and grow. So I'm probably for now, for the beginning, I'm gonna probably set up like a Google form where you can apply, and I'm gonna see how much time I have, but I'm probably gonna take like up to 3 people into coaching, paid spots, because I kind of want to like try myself in, as I said before, like I kind of want to do something that I can measure, like some kind of valuable teaching kind of thing. And I obviously know a lot about Twitch. I have a lot of experience in social media and so on. So I'm gonna take 3 people that apply that I think have a good base to work with and big potential, where I think I can help them elevate and make what they already do better and bring them to the next level. And actually, Stefie and me were talking about that. Obviously, now Stefie is really, really busy with her street food market, but we're gonna see how this is gonna work, the coaching, how I like it, how much time I put in. And I'm thinking that I'm probably gonna get really passionate about it. And as you guys know, Steffi and me do many, many projects together, and we're a great team in working together. So we're thinking about fall, winter, that to be able to help more people, that we maybe gonna open something like a workshop, maybe make that something like once a month or every few weeks, where we actually gonna prepare, you know, maybe some PDFs that you can take something like home with you from, even if it's like a digital, like a Discord workshop or whatever, where you can take something with you, where we gonna first of all gonna have a little like presentation in some sort, where we're gonna tell you about what we're planning, how we're gonna help you, blah blah blah, and then structure it fully, and in the end maybe have a little like question and feedback time, you know, where everybody can like ask us the questions and maybe explain us what their issue is, or where they're struggling, where they need help, if they have any input, if they need any input from us. So that's something Steph and me are planning for fall or winter. And maybe if that is something that's going good and you guys enjoy, and it is hopefully also helpful for you guys, we're also thinking about writing an ebook. So we obviously, like, we want to, as I say, like, I start with 3 people in like the personal coaching, then we do like workshops with like, I don't know, 5 to 10 people, I guess, something like that, because we obviously want to help them individuals. And then maybe when we have the experience, when we also see what are your questions, what are the things that are maybe for us really natural, where we don't need to think about that much, but you guys have more questions in depth, then we're gonna probably start working on an ebook that we then potentially also put public to buy for you. So maybe if you're not really interested in like a workshop or probably personal coaching, that you're going to be able to buy an ebook as well. So that is kind of like the project that Steffi and me have for this fall or winter. And I think with that, you're then up to date with everything that happened with us in the last week, right? Perfect. And we're good in time as well with the podcast. So as I already said before, for a short time in the beginning, today's topic is something that I got from
Listen of the week.
Oh, listen of the week. Oh my God, it's been half an hour and we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah,
My bad, Stefie. Hit it.
Let me fast forward. Okay, listen of the week this time is a very, very, very lovely queen, actually from Graz, which I met for the second time already because she was eating at my truck at the street food market with her boyfriend.
Oh, that's so cute.
She's super cute. She always listens to our podcast, and she said she's super looking forward to Monday again for the next episode. So this is her again. Grinsekätzchen, aka Bianca, wrote, "Congrats on the 20th episode. I enjoyed every single episode so far. You really can be proud of yourself. By the way, also it was the brand we like episodes, guys. By the way, also can recommend Balia products because of good quality. Beside that, they're cruelty-free and partly vegan."
Thank you so much, Grinsekätzchen, for first of all the compliments. Thank you for visiting Stefie again at the street food market.
It's like every now and then, like the first time we met or saw each other was at the cinema, and I think we were watching Endgame. Like Max and I went to watch Endgame, and she was there with her boyfriend. Yeah, and she just like came towards me and told me like, "Hey, I really like derps'nburps, and the brand's super cool." And that was the first like encounter. And then this weekend again, she was like, "I'm super looking forward to Monday to the next episode of derps'nburps." Yeah, it's so nice, like to get to see in real life, like those people in real life, people from social media, and they enjoy what you're doing or what we're doing, right? And then actually get to talk to them in person is just amazing. Makes my day every single time. So thank you, Bianca, for coming by at the street food market. It was very nice seeing you again.
Awesome. Quit. Thank you so much, Bianca. I appreciate it as well, and I hope one day we're gonna meet as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, to talk about today's topic. So to give you a little rundown how I started thinking about this, right? So yesterday I watched on Netflix My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. In case you guys don't know what that is, it is a Netflix show from David Letterman. David Letterman had a talk show many years ago, or not many years ago, for many years. Sorry. And now, yeah, sure, do it. Stefie needs to go for a pee. She just asked me, "Mom, can I go to pee while you're explaining what we're doing?" And I'm like, "Sure, honey, do it." So it's just you and me right now. Chat, are you or chat listeners? So anyway, I watched My Next Guest Needs No Introduction yesterday on Netflix, which is the show from David Letterman, and he had as a guest Ryan Reynolds. And at the very end of the episode, by the way, I really recommend watching that one, especially with Ryan. It's really good. And at the end of the interview, they were talking both about how it was for them losing their fathers. And when so basically it was, I think it was Ryan that told it first, that when his dad died, that he kind of realized that he didn't really know who his father was as a person. Steffi's back. Welcome back, lady.
Oh, thank you.
That was a fast pee.
I'm a fast pisser. Yeah.
Nice.
And wash my hands, by the way.
Very nice.
Let's
proud of you.
Go on.
So basically he talked about how and I think it was David at the same time, they both were discussing how they didn't really know their father, and I think maybe many people can translate that onto their relationships with their parents or their family, where you obviously spend a lot of time with them, you live under the same roof, they're your caregivers, they're your parents, but you maybe don't really know them as a person. So for me, for example, I can relate with that because I know my mom and my dad as parents. I know their values as parents. I know what for them is important to show on the inside. But if I think about, like, my mom's name is Hannah and my dad's name is Uwe, if I think about who are they as a person and not as like my mom or a dad, I don't really know them that much. Like, I think Ryan said it, and it's a really good way of saying it, like, because he said like his dad was very inaccessible to him, right? So you share a
Mm-hmm.
house and you share so much, you share your life, but they don't necessarily share their emotions, and that really got me thinking, because especially as a teenager or as a child, like I would always especially go to my mom and tell her what bothers me, what's on my mind, and she would know all of those things about me. And
Mm.
I talked about like my fucked up relationships with my parents a lot on this podcast. Like fucked up, like it's okay by now, like obviously, but
Mm.
it's not where I would want it to be. And
Yeah.
so it kind of continues that way, where my mom is always interested and wants to know everything about my life and wants to know like all the details and everything. So I feel like my mom knows everything about me, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know shit about her. Like I don't really know who Hannah is. Like
Mm.
I don't really know what her inner struggles are. I don't know what her fears are. I don't know what are her hobbies. What is her passion? You know, like I can tell you that she was a strict mom, that
Mm.
you know, like I can give you like a few pinpoints, but if I think about it, like I know so much more about my friends that I actually know about my parents. And
Yeah.
so they were talking about how they only realized that after their parents died, and that they can't really get that back. And that kind of really got me thinking about um if there is a way or a world where I could still have the chance to get to know my parents in that way. You know what I mean? To get to know
Mm.
them as Hannah and Uwe, and not just as mom and dad.
Yeah.
But how was it with you? Like I think you're in the opposite kind of side, where you know a lot about your parents, right? Or
Mm.
how is it for
The
you?
thing is, I need to like put my siblings into this pot as well, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the same with like not only parents but also my aunt or my siblings. Like those are my closest family members.
Oh,
And
I didn't even think about it. Do you feel like you, or maybe some people have that as well, like such a distance relationship with their siblings, that they know
yeah,
them as
that's the thing.
siblings but not as persons?
That's what I'm like I was or am like sometimes thinking about, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously, as you said, like you share the same house with these people, right? But you never really, or so not many people spend most of the time with their brother, their sister. They
Mm-hmm.
You more likely go out with your friends, right, than your
Yeah.
sister or your brother. And um I sometimes think about it because obviously there's like age gap as well, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure, for
my
sure.
sister is 4 years younger, and my brother is 6 years younger than me. By now, the age gap doesn't matter anymore because we're all like grown up. At some point,
Yeah.
you're all grown up. But when I was 14, my sister was 10, and my brother was 8, and we had completely different interests. I
Yeah.
was going out like
Wait,
experimenting
do
with
you have like,
alcohol and shit.
you all three have the same dad and mom, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Holy shit, that's like huge gaps for having the same dad and mom,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're
My
like,
mom
oh
got
yeah,
me
you
when
know
I was
what?
20, when she was 27.
Let's do it again. Like
Yeah,
I'm just
and
thinking,
again.
and another one. Like I'm just thinking that must be like a hard decision as well. If you're like you have two children that are like out of the worst, under quotation marks, like,
Yeah,
right, like
yeah,
their school, you can like maybe
yeah. And there's
finally
nothing.
kind of have another like your own life again, and then you're like, you know what, let's do that shit again.
Yeah. So the age gap was kind of huge back in the days. So I obviously wasn't interested in like doing something with my brother at all because he was
Mm.
8, I was 14. Dude, I wanted to get wasted and go like to the park with my friends while he was probably digging some sand. So you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
age gap was very high, and even nowadays, I sometimes ask myself if I did didn't if it wasn't enough what I like did with my brother, especially with my brother, which is
as a sibling, you mean?
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I know him and I know like his hobbies, and at the time where he got into gaming,
Mm-hmm.
or we both like realized, hey, we're gamers, so we have quite a lot of the same interests.
Mm-hmm.
We started talking about these things more, or sometimes like he just joins Discord when I'm in a voice channel and we just talk about things, or he sends me his new butterflies he got or whatever because he's very into that. So nowadays I
Butterfly
have
knives, by the way, just so you know, he doesn't like
butterfly knives,
the animals. So.
butterfly knives, sorry
My
guys.
brother
Yeah.
really likes butterflies.
So yeah, nowadays we have more like to talk about, right? And there was such a long like time where I ask myself now sometimes if it was enough what I did with my siblings, because I felt guilty not doing much with my brother back then. But on a logical side, you realize like the age
You were
gap.
a child yourself. You were a child yourself.
Yeah,
Like you're not a. First of all, I think you're obviously when you're 14, you have so much other stuff going on in your life.
especially with
that-
yourself.
Exactly. Like you're going through puberty. You're getting
Yeah.
interested in having partners, school, hormones, going out, like all of that kind of stuff. And like obviously,
Yeah.
if you say like you're 14 and he's 8, like obviously you cannot share that. You're not gonna tell him like, yo 8-year-old brother, you know what happened last week in Boyvak? Like obviously you cannot really do this. But I do understand that once you're grown up, then you kind of realize, hey, hold up, I lived with him for I don't know half of my life, and I'm maybe not as close, or I share more with my friends than I do with my siblings, right?
Yeah, because you take them for granted. And I feel like it's the same with your parents. Like, obviously, they raised you. You have such a different, like, connection or different relationship with your close family than your friends, you know? Your friends know you from such a different side. Or I can only think of my time when I was a teenager. Obviously, like when there was my mom knew or realized when there was something bugging me or like lying heavy on my heart. So at some point, I wasn't the person that went to her all the time and told her about my worries. It was more like we were both, I don't know, heated up, got into an argument, and then we both cried because we're both Scorpions and we couldn't stop stinging each other, right? No, none of us like gave in. And then there was the point where we both just like collided into each other. And then at some point, either I went to her or she went to me and said, honey, blah, blah, blah. And we talked about it. And then I talked about things with her because she said, what's on your mind?
Yeah.
So, but I never, like, obviously, when I was 16, I never went to her and said, "What's on your mind?"
Yeah,
so,
of course.
So you have these,
like she's your caregiver, so you're not thinking about like asking how they are, right? Same with like teachers. Like if you think about it now, like your teachers are worried about how you do it, or should be worried about how you're doing, or maybe why you're not performing in school, and they always ask how you're doing. Now that you think about, I never asked a teacher when I knew that he was
how
not
they're
doing. How they're doing. It's kind of so like a weird dynamic, right? Like that you don't learn as a child. Like you get raised like, hey, those are the people that take care of you. You don't have to take care about them,
because you're younger, and and they're older, and
role.
Grown-ups are like all fine, you know. That's what you think when you're younger. Like they don't have problems. They just take care of our problems, or like are worried about our problems, but they don't have any. But that's not the case, and that's what you realize when you get older.
Yeah. And I actually sorry to interrupt you. Can I just say one thing that just came to my mind? I actually watched yesterday not like a TED talk, but like a workshop of a psychologist. His name is like Ellen de Botton, I think, de Botton, or something like that. And he had like a really interesting talk about parents as well, and about love. Like he talks about a lot of like the psychology behind love, relationships, all of that kind of stuff. And he was talking about a new, or not really new, but like a way how psychology works is when you're a child, in the beginning, I think it's till you're 2 or 4 years old, sometime in between there, your brain sees your parents, so your mom, as 2 different personalities, like as 2 different persons. You see like the good mother, and you see the bad mother. Like you have the mom, you know, that makes you food and takes care of you when you're crying and that kind of stuff. And then there's the second person that's like the evil mother that like corrects you if you do something wrong, that screams at you if you do something that you shouldn't do, you know, that maybe is a little bit cold-hearted or treats you in a way that is not fair. And when you're a child, there's a time in your life where you cannot, where your brain does not understand that those two personalities is actually one person. And there's a point in your life where your brain realizes that the person that you love and the person that you hate, under quotation marks, is the same person. As I said, it's sometime between 2 and 4 years old. And that is actually when you learn what love is, like what actual unconditional true love is, because you understand that you can love and hate a person at the same time. So that is like super, super interesting as well. Like in that context, right? In how your brain and your brain chemistry, the psychology, like the whole awareness part of your brain works. That under like in a certain point, you have 2 moms and 2 dads. Like you have the good mom, you have the bad mom, you have the good dad, and you have the bad dad. And then at one point, you know, when your brain realizes that is actually so crazy. I watched it yesterday, so that just came to my mind as well.
Yeah, that's why you have, like, when you're even as a teenager, you get, or I got into arguments with my mom more than with my dad, because we were both just fucking stubborn. So nobody, as I said, will give in until someone cries. and then we apologize afterwards. But that's what we needed sometimes. It's just how it is. It's still,
but I think that's normal.
How I am. Yeah.
I mean, that was with my mom as well. With my dad, I couldn't really fight that much because my parents got divorced when I was 11. So since I'm 11, I'm not living under the same roof with my dad. So so my dad kind of didn't really got the whole teenage side of me, right? Like the rebellious, it was like, oh yeah, you see your dad like every weekend, every second weekend, and then obviously you try to enjoy the time you have with each other, if that makes sense, and you don't necessarily argue. Well, with my mom, oh my god. But for me, it's still the same. Like, I really had a lot of anger issues in the past, which I'm really over it. But the only person that can still trigger me to the point where I'm about to cry because of anger, but like I snap and scream, is my mom. Nobody else can do that. Like, I'm 32 now. I'm in a relationship with Nathan for 8 years. We've never had like a heated argument where we screamed at each other. Also has something to do with Nathan being autistic, probably.
I had many with Mux already.
I'm with my ex-boyfriends always, dude. It was like always the hot and cold, you know, the like I hate you so much, but I love you so much, you know, like that kind of thing.
That's what we don't have. We just like get pissed at each other for not doing anything, and then we just scream at each other, and then at some point we're done.
I have to say I kind of missed that a little bit. Like, it sounds fucked up, but like the how do you say it? You know, when you have like a heated argument, like where you're actually like you're so angry at the other person, that point where like this, I don't want to call it hate because it's not hate, but like this annoyance spark just changes into like something good, and then you have like I don't know, this makeup.
I never really had makeup sex, if I'm honest.
Oh my god, dude.
I don't know.
Stefie.
The thing is, listen, Julia, the thing with me is when I'm angry, and I cannot switch to this, okay, now we're fine again. I never tried it though, if I'm honest. Like,
oh my god.
The thing is, when I'm angry, I cannot do this. I'm just pissed at you. I don't even want to touch you in this like
but that's
moment.
The thing. You don't want it, and then there's this passion.
I know what you mean.
Like
I know what you mean.
This passion of like, oh, shut the fuck up, and then this shut the fuck up turns into like kissing somebody roughly against the wall, and then
I never had that.
I haven't had that in like. Sorry to talk about that, but that is actually something that can be really nice as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
just, I don't know if I can, like, if we talk about something and
Mm-hmm.
like we're fine and we go out of this conversation with a solution or
Mm-hmm.
some like a goal we both made
Mm-hmm.
to fix this problem, I'm fine. But then this like this anger is gone, right? So
Yeah.
either the anger is gone or the anger for me is here, and I need, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours to calm down,
Yeah.
blast music or do
Yeah.
whatever, but
To
without
just
this person, and then I'm fine.
okay.
But I, yeah.
See, that's the thing with Nathan. It's so weird because the way he's looking at emotions and behavior, like he's really rational. Is that the word?
Mm,
Right? Through
mm,
his autism. When
mm,
for example, if I would tell somebody let's say you're in a relationship and you ask them to bring down the trash, something like that,
mm,
right? Um, if I would tell that to my ex-boyfriend for the third time, dude, you still haven't brought down the trash. You're a fucking child. You're going on my nerves,
mm.
right? And for Nathan, it's like, oh yeah, you said it 3 times. Sorry, I'm gonna do it. You know? Or it's like, I would be like, I told you 3 times, so you need to bring it out. And he's like, actually, you just told me once, and that was yesterday in
Yeah.
WhatsApp, and you didn't tell me a time when I should do it, so I don't see the problem. And then I'm there like, fuck, he's right. What do I do now? So the thing is, with Nathan, I need to tell him not like, hey, can you bring out the trash? I need to tell him like, hey, can you please bring out the trash till latest tonight? And then he's gonna do
Yeah.
it. But like, you know, it's like the
Yeah.
so that's the thing why I cannot really be, because he does what I tell him, right?
Yeah.
But or what I ask him for, not like, hey, I told you to do this, and
Yeah.
then he does it, brain dead or something. But that's like the difference for me, and I'm like, oh fuck, I can't go further in this argument because he's right.
Fuck! I cannot scream at him now. That's the
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly. And
Sometimes you
that's
just want the. Sometimes you just want an argument for no matter reason, no
yeah.
matter if it's with
I think
partner,
it's a
friends, or
really
whatever.
human. I think it's a really human thing.
Yeah.
To do that. But yeah. So anyway, so I think the whole talk about, to go back to the main topic, not really
Mhm.
knowing the personality or who your parent is as a person beside of your mom and your dad is something that I'm really interested in. But
Mm.
for me, realistically speaking, I don't think I have the chance to figure that out with my mom because my mom is inaccessible, like because
Mm.
of her, like the whole mental issues that we both have together. You know, I think that's not possible. With my dad, I think I could work on it. I think
Mhm.
I can. He's also inaccessible in the sense of like, oh yeah, you know, when I talked about like psychology or like, yeah, but what is the root cause of that? You know, like he's not
Mm.
interested in like opening up. But I
Yeah.
think if I, you know, talk about certain passions that he has, like I know that
Yeah.
he really likes animals and he likes like dogs and he likes animals over humans and all of that kind of stuff. But
Mm.
you know, like I think I could kind of crack that shell open and maybe in this lifetime can still like find out who he really is as a person.
Mhm.
But with my mom, I think I can't. I don't know.
Mm.
How is it with your parents? Do you feel like you know them as persons?
Okay. The thing is, when I was, I think it was,
Or also your siblings? Maybe like all of it.
mhm, when I was 18, um, maybe you remember, like in Felden, there was a few clubs you could only get in, if you were 21,
Mm-hmm.
or even back in the days when I think I was 15 back then. Yeah, and my mom knew the guy that had the big disco in Villach.
Mm-hmm.
So she texted him or called him, "Hey, how's it looking? Can I come with my girl with my daughter? She would
Mm-hmm.
like to explore your like disco, your club."
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll tell the securities." So my mom and my dad and I went into this club so
Oh
she could
shit!
show me how it looks. And the same with V Club, for example. Like my
Really?
mom, yeah, like she knew those people because they were either like school friends from back then or like acquaintances
Yeah.
that went to school with her. So she just like called them and said, "Hey, yo, I'm coming with my daughter. Can I get in with her? She's not 18 yet, but she would like to go there with me.
Yeah.
So my parents were always, when it comes to clubbing, because we're all three very into like clubbing and having a good time with loud music.
Oh
So when
shit!
I was
I've
18,
never went out with my parents. Holy shit!
yeah, there was a time where we went out almost every weekend together.
But how
And
did that go then? Did you take your normal friends with you as well? Like,
no, I just went with my parents because it was usually late. Like we went out at, I don't know, 10, 11 and stayed until 3, 4. So
holy shit! You
it
went out
was,
till 4 a.m. with your parents?
yeah,
Oh my
because
god!
there was a time where they, especially in summer in Felden, it's nice, right? And you
Mhm.
probably know the American bar
Yeah.
on the opposite side of the casino.
Mm-hmm.
And you only got in there back then when you were 21.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not like that anymore. But back then, and there was Monkey Circus as well.
Monkey Circus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those two clubs were pretty cool. They like were playing house music and everything, and we were like playing house music a lot at home in our house every day in summer because it's just I love those vibes. That's why I listen to this music in summer all the time. It's literally connected with all this. So I was 18 back then, 17 or 18, and obviously I couldn't get in there alone. So my parents said, "Yeah, we can just let's go out together." And in the beginning, it was weird, like drinking a vodka energy in front of them, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like they ordered it from me because my dad is a vodka person. My mom is like
Mm-hmm.
an Aperol person. She's drinking Aperol Spritz. And I was drinking vodka with my dad. And in the beginning, it was very weird. Like the whole situation, right? Going
Yeah.
out with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Of
Like,
course.
how do you behave? Do you
Like, what
behave
do you
like
do?
you?
Do you like still talk to guys that you think are cute when your parents are close, or like?
Yeah, that's all. That's the things. Like, and how are you like behaving like you behave when you're with your friends?
Yeah.
Or
So how
it's
did
a
you
very
behave? How did you behave then? Like
yeah.
after you
The
did it a few
situation
times?
was very weird in the beginning, but after you obviously had some drinks as well, everyone loses up a little bit, right? And it was fine. I don't know. I didn't like make out with guys or anything.
Hmm.
I didn't do that without them either. I just wanted to have a good time and it was fun like going out with them, just dancing a little bit. And there was mostly like their friends there,
Okay.
which are the same
Older.
age as
Yeah.
them, right? And I was just like they knew me all. And it was in the beginning, it was always like, yeah, that's my daughter. She's like going out with us today. And I was just there like having conversations with them or listening to their
Yeah.
conversations. And then there was my s- can I say step cousin? It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Let's
my
just say cousin,
aunt's
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, my aunt's partner's daughter
Mm-hmm.
was I think she's 2 years older than me or 3. So she was there as well, but was kind of the same age, right? Or same
Mm-hmm.
age range. So I had her to talk as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to know like other people through her. So I either was there with my parents and they met their friends, or she was there as well and we had a good time. And sometimes my parents went home early and I stayed there with her for, I don't know, 2 more hours. So, and that was, I don't know, we did that quite often. Like in summer, there was a time where we went out almost every weekend together. Yeah. So I don't know, I'd say I have a different relationship with my parents. Because it sounds so weird, but yeah, I went clubbing with my parents and it was fucking fun. It was so much fun. Like I had a good time. Also because I got into the good clubs with the good music, right?
Yeah.
At
Of
clubs
course.
with the good
Yeah.
music. So and they have the same music taste as me. It's not that my parents listen to, I don't know, Radio Kertensteiermark and like Volksmusik and stuff. They listen to house, they listen to sometimes even Goa and like trance, Armin van Buren, and all these things. So it was always the same. We had the same level,
Yeah.
or we're on the same level when it comes to these things, and that was just great
But like,
experiences.
would your parents, let's say, when, for example, when your parents split or something like that, right?
Hmm.
Would your parents like openly talk with you about not only like, look, honey, we're getting separated because of this and that, but more like, hey, listen, I'm not doing well because this and this happened. Like, did they like openly talk with you about their struggles and why they decided to
I
split, or?
Yeah, I had a deeper, like a longer conversation
Mm-hmm.
with with them or with with my mom first because she was that was after, I think it was after New Year's Eve, and she picked me up from the train station. And on the way home, we
Mm-hmm.
were still living together in the house in Felden. And on the way home, she told me, I was 18 by then. My sister was 14, my brother was 12.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, she told me then that something happened in her life, and like she told me the story and everything and told me more about it and
Mm-hmm.
why all this happened and how it happened and stuff. So I know her side,
Mm-hmm.
or I knew her side because she told me a lot about it
Mm-hmm.
and why it happened and everything. And I understood it because of my age.
Yeah, of course, you're
Like
18, so
the
you
way
can.
it happened, what happened behind the scenes and everything. My sister, though, um, my parents had quite some arguments at night mostly, where I either wasn't at home or I
Mm-hmm.
already slept because I was so drunk. So from the parties, so I never really heard these arguments, and I never realized that they had some. But my sister actually like noticed or heard them
Mm-hmm.
argumenting sometimes. So for her, it was also a bit different. And I think she, at that time, was when she was 14, it was harder, or 13 even, it was harder to understand all this. Also with hearing some stuff, but didn't get the explanation to it then. Even though when that whole the whole splitting happened, she talked to all of us.
Yeah.
But obviously, for me, it was easier to understand than for a 13-year-old
Yeah,
girl
of
that
course,
starts
of
to like
course.
getting interested in guys and like
Mm.
experiencing love and
I mean, you
everything with
had
a
relationships at this
person.
point. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
probably like were in love and maybe lost somebody that you like lost a relationship before, so you
yeah,
know how like it happens that at one point it just doesn't work out anymore, right?
yeah. And there, it always takes two, right? I never blamed my mother for it, and I never blamed my father for it,
Mm-hmm.
because what happened, like basically, my mother cheated on my father back then,
Mm-hmm.
and um there's it always takes two. There's no reason, like you wouldn't do that if you were happy in your
Yeah,
relationship.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And there's certain things that come together or you miss in 10 or 20 years of a relationship, and there's so many different factors you cannot control, or can but you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one thing leads to another, and I understood it back then, and I understood why she did it, and I wasn't mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
But my sister was, and that's when, for example, her morbus Crohn broke
Yeah.
out then. So she had so many, like, on a mental level, she had such a high like mental stress and pain
That she
that
got
when
physically ill. Mm.
when my parents divorced, like she got physically ill. My brother barely ever talked about it, but
Mm.
called me when he was completely drunk, crying, and told me and opened up
Yeah.
about these things. So he was more like the silent observer, but
Yeah, and he was
opened up.
probably also like, oh yeah, my little sister is already causing a lot of not issues like
Probably, yeah,
like
maybe.
so he would probably was not trying to not burden the whole
Yeah,
situation more
yeah,
with his feelings or something,
yeah.
right?
And I know that he was talking to my sister more than me, because they were like, their age gap was
Closer,
only
yeah.
2 years. They lived together in the same room, like in the children room at home. And I had
Mm-hmm.
my own room back then. So they were very close all the time, like since they were little.
Mm.
And to me, he doesn't open up with everything, but with the important things, he sometimes just like tells me about them. But I think
Mm.
he talks more to my younger sister about
Okay.
these things. um my younger sister talks to me, or especially in that time, like at that time when the whole like morbus Crohn thing happened, and
Yeah.
she was in the hospital for, I think, 2 months or one and a half. I was
Mm.
there with her, basically living in the hospital,
Oh.
so we got very close in that
In
time.
that time. Mm.
And also it was very hard for my mother, right? Because my sister kind of
Yeah, she
blamed
felt
her
guilty
for,
then. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course. But
So
it's crazy though if I think about it. Sorry to interrupt you.
no
How
worries.
like such mental distress for children can often like cause actual physical
Yeah,
problems. Like
yeah.
now that you said, like I obviously didn't have it as bad as your sister with the most cold, for
Mm,
example. But for me, when my parents, like, I was 11 when they split, so like a similar age as your sister. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Your sister was what, 12, 14?
My sister was 13. My
Oh,
brother
13. Okay,
was
okay.
8.
Okay.
I was 18. Hold up. 18, 14, 12.
12,
My
yeah.
you were at the age of my brother, basically.
Okay. So yeah, I was 11, and for me, it was like exactly in the time when I switched schools. So I went like, and when I changed to gymnasium, like the junior high school.
Yeah.
And for me, I was, for example, I was in a Montessori Volksschule first.
Yeah.
Like I was in a
Yeah.
Montessori school, and then I went to the hardest school in our town. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like the pressure of like a new school, like way stricter rules, like going from like a alternative, oh, you learn at your own pace school, to you're in the fucking high school, the hardest, the junior high school in the town, and you need to perform.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus then, like, you know, your dad is moving out. My dad was always the person that like set the rules and stuff, and my mom was always the person that tried to mediate between, like, make everybody happy. And that was then for us, for example, also, like, you know, my mom kind of had to set rules and boundaries, but kind of was not able to do that in a good way. Which, because like obviously, like, there's the thing where you as a parent get, like, especially as single parent, like, you get pushed into a role where you need to, in a sense, replace your other partner, because you kind of split it, right? Like in a perfect world, obviously you would kind of both be the good and the bad, but if you're honest, there's always like this one parent you go to with your problems, and that helps you solve everything and mediate, and there's the other parent that is like more like the, how do you say it, like, that you're maybe just not as close to, right? And that is like maybe a little bit more distant, and is easier with setting boundaries and rules in your house, right? At least for me it was that way. And for me it was similar. Like, for me, I started first faking that I have stomach issues, so I don't have to go to school, and I can stay home and spend time either with my mom or my dad, because obviously like they were both working, so I was not seeing my dad anymore. And then if I was sick at home, you know, sometimes my dad stayed home, sometimes my mom stayed home. But the problem was for me, that I don't really know how it works, but if you fake so long that you're sick, you get sick at one point. So my parents would not believe me anymore. They would send me in school, and then it would happen that when I have to walk into school, I would like puke on the way to school, like in the entrance of the school and stuff. And
my dad is calling right now.
Dad is calling.
I need to call him back later.
He knows that you have been talking about him. He has been summoned. So yeah, for me it was that, and then for me it was after like half a year it was that bad that when my parents went to a doctor with me, that they found that I have like a stomach Geschwür, like I had some growth in my stomach, just from like the stress and like acting like I'm sick, that I actually got physically sick. So it's crazy if you see like the mind body connection again, right? Like it's really, really crazy. But yeah, and how is it with your dad? Do you feel like you know your dad as a person, or do you feel like you know your mom more as a person?
I feel when it comes to knowing, I think I know my dad more as a person. My mom is my big role model when it comes to like all the things in adulthood, right? Like organizing stuff, writing bills, or like getting your like the taxes back every year, and that stuff, right? So my mom is like helping me with all the managing parts, because she has so much knowledge about everything, obviously because of her work as well. And I talk more about like deeper things with my dad. So it's very hard for me to say. I'd say I know my dad more when it comes to like him with his interests and everything, because we have very, very, very deep talks about everything. Like no matter what, you can talk about it with my dad. You can also do that with my mom, but it's a different kind of like motivation you get out. Like when I drive home, go to my dad and talk about the world and the meaning and the universe, whatever it is. I get so many like different inputs and views that I'm so like motivated, and I feel so enlightened to do these things or do other things, or I just have like more ideas about it. And when I go to my mom, it's more like the practical stuff
Yeah.
where she just supports me and builds me up or cheers me up with other things like this the stats. Like if you have the facts and you have the spiritual part,
So
my
yeah,
mom is
your dad is like the spiritual person that
yes, my
gives
mom partly
you.
is as well, but
Yeah.
not that much. So it's so hard for me to say because I'm a mixture of both, right?
Yeah.
And it's so hard, like, and that's what's so confusing sometimes to
That's so
balance for
nice,
me.
no?
Yeah, it
Like you have
is. It
the
is.
best from both sides.
It is. But if it comes to knowing better, I'd say probably my dad.
How do you feel like with your siblings? First of all, you say like you're a mix of both of your
Mm-hmm.
parents. Do you feel like with your sister and your brother it's like similar? Or do you say like, oh, your brother is like fully your mom and like your
My
sis?
my sister is more like my dad,
Okay.
I'd
Yeah,
say.
that's what yeah.
She's but that changed a couple years ago, like only a couple years ago. So you see like her being way more like my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in between. I'm always like, oh my god, I love all this what my dad is doing, but I also love all this what my mom's doing.
Yeah.
So, but she's more like my dad, I'd say, when it
Okay.
comes to that. My brother, though, I cannot tell.
Okay.
I think he's more like mom. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
right?
more like
See,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's the feeling that I had about you guys as well. Like if
Really,
I obviously don't like your sister, I don't know at all. Your brother I
mm,
know a little bit, and obviously you I know really well. And I
yeah,
would have said the same. I would have said like your brother is like your mom, your sister's your
yeah,
dad, and you're like the in between.
yeah.
See, and for me, for example, like I'm none of them.
That is
Like
also crazy,
I'm
right?
I'm like I
Like
feel
you're
like
completely different.
the only thing that I really have from my dad is my temper. Like,
Uh huh.
but that I lost a lot since I like worked on my mental health. I don't have like
Mm,
I'm not sure how to say it in English, but in German, my dad is a cholerica, like choleric, like that you
mm,
go from like 0 to 100 in
yeah,
rage because of the smallest stupid shit.
yeah.
So I grew up with that.
Mm,
The whole side of my dad is really impulsive and can
mhm.
be not like aggressive is the wrong word, but get really loud for no reason. Like never like
Mhm.
physically or anything, but
Yeah.
just would
Just
get really
verbally.
verbally loud. Like not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
necessarily abusive or anything. Like just
Yeah, yeah.
really loud for no reason and angry. So I grew up
Typical
like this.
Italian temperament.
Yeah,
Is it
exactly.
temperament?
Temperament, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But even though they're not Italian at all, that side, like the my mom's side is Italian, at
Okay.
least my grandma, and so I had that from my dad. And when I was younger, and
Mhm.
when I didn't take care of my mental health, I was the exact same. Like the smallest shit can trigger me and send me in a millisecond from being the calmest person to losing my shit completely. And
Mm.
so when it comes to that, I was a lot like my dad.
Yeah.
And I was always when I was a kid, I was always like, daddy's girl kind of that thing. But I guess that's
Uh,
for girls often the case that they just like their dad so much.
yeah.
Um, but that I lost. Like I really learned how to control my emotions. The only two times I lose my temper in the way that my family does, or like the side of my
Yeah.
dad does, is video games. Elden Ring,
Yeah.
best example. Um, and the second thing is with my mom. Those are the
Mm.
two things. Like before, I had it in relationships before as well, with friends. As soon as I got frustrated, I lost my shit basically. And now
Mhm.
I can control it. The only person that really brings out that kind of, it's such a weird kind of anger because it's not just anger, it's like frustration. Like
Mm.
I get so frustrated that I cry because I'm so, do you know that when you're so angry and
Mm.
frustrated
Yeah,
that
I had that with my mom so
you
often.
you can just cry and you just
Yeah.
want that person to shut the fuck up and just
Yeah.
like get out of my face. Like I
Yeah.
can't even talk to you.
Yeah.
Even if that person tries to be as nice and calming, like I just can't. I
Yeah.
want to throw up. Like it's that bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have that from my dad, but from my mom, I don't know. I cannot identify with my mom at all. At least not with the person that she's right now. Maybe the person that she used to be. When, like, my mom is way different now than when I grew up with her. So that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I knew my mom when I was younger, and I think we talked about it often, you know, like this power woman, kind of that kind of stuff. And now she's just like a shell of herself, if that makes sense, because she doesn't really have her own opinion anymore. Like, she's more just like going with the flow, and whatever happens happens. Like, she doesn't
feels
really
like
care.
she went
She
back
lost
and
herself.
you go forward.
Exactly. So maybe I know the person that she used to be, but I don't know who she is anymore now. But that's more because she doesn't even know who she is. I think that's the thing. Like, you cannot know somebody when they don't even know themselves. If that makes sense. But yeah, I think to round the whole topic up, I think
can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course, always.
Do you think you will ever get the chance, like, to have this open talk with your mom?
If I'm 100% honest, and that might sound really fucked up, yes, but only under one circumstance, and that is if her boyfriend is not in the picture anymore, because she's being so controlled. So in whatever shape or form, if he's not in the picture anymore, whatever that might mean, yes, but as long as he's around, there's no way. But not because of me, but because of her. Because, not because I don't want it, because I tried many times. But I think as long as he's there, there's no way in having any emotional access to her, or having any kind of connection to her, because he just won't allow it. Like, he's so possessive over her that he gets scared if my mom has any relationship, even with her own daughter,
or thinks for herself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she cannot have normal friends. She can have like the surface, you know, like when they go on, like, for example, they have like it's called, not trailers, like when you go on holidays in your own car that you can sleep in and stuff. What is called, like a RV or something? Is it called an RV? Maybe, I'm not sure. So you know what I mean? Wohnwagen?
Wohnwagen, yeah. What's
I'm
the
not sure.
English word for it?
I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, like, they have like this car that you can live in. I think it's called an RV. I'm not sure. And
it's basically caravan.
Yeah, exactly. So they like travel with caravans and stuff, and they have like certain spots that belong to them. And they have friends there, you know, like if you're always at the same spots. But I think it's like really like shallow relationships with other people. It's more like, oh, hi, you want to come over? You want to have a glass of wine? And then you see each other, I don't know, twice a year. I think it's something like that. I don't really think she has anything else. But yeah, who knows? Maybe one day. Like, I'm open to it. I don't have a problem. I think with my dad is something I really want to explore. To really find out, you know, who he is behind the facade of the man he portrays outside to be. So that is something that I would really like to explore.
That's a very tough one. I think you'd need to send him to my dad.
Oh,
to make him like...
Dude, I would love that. I would love to see my dad having a conversation with somebody, like a serious conversation that is going deeper. And I understand that having a conversation is where you fully open up and maybe talk about your fears, your flaws, whatever it is. I think it must be really hard as a parent to be vulnerable towards your children and showing weakness, because the way parents in our society are being portrayed is that they're like the pillars in your life, right? Like, what happens if you have a problem in life, if your world is crashing down? Who do you call? You call your mom, you call your dad, right? And if you're like in a healthy relationship with your parents, that is, obviously. So I feel like as a parent, it's also hard to show that kind of weakness because it's expected from you. Like, I think you would be maybe too vulnerable, maybe your child would not have the trust in you fixing everything if they consciously know that you don't have your life together. If you know, if you would portray yourself as a real human, which we all are, like everybody has their issues and their struggles and everything, right? But parents often just portray themselves in a way like, I have my shit together. If there's anything you need, I'm always there for you, right? Because I have my shit together. Does that make sense?
It's
So
yeah,
maybe
it does.
that's
It's
like,
just I think when you get older, like that's what happened to me at least when you get older, and also with the divorce, right? When my
what's that?
parents were splitting, um, I saw both very vulnerable,
Okay.
like crying, crushed. So, and also like I saw my mom crying a lot when when either we got into a fight or just argumenting or whatever it was. Like there were moments where I saw her like falling apart, and that just killed me. And the same with my dad, for example. Oh my god.
Oh, Stefie.
That was a very I can't even talk right now. Hold up. That was a
No,
very uh crazy moment in my life. Like on that day when my mom said like they were splitting, I was in the bathroom and went out of it after I went to the toilet, and my dad came to me and looked at me and just fell apart.
No. Oh, fuck.
Give me a second.
No problem. Did you ever
So,
talk with him about it again after?
yeah, we basically talked about all the situations like we or all the encounters we had that weren't like so pleasing in our lives.
Yeah.
No matter which one it was. It's just that was the moment that just killed me inside.
Yeah. Understandable,
But
though.
because he just like hugged me and didn't stop crying.
No.
And that was the first time I saw him like so heartbroken.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I know my parents from this side as well. And also from the strong side. Obviously, like they didn't tell me everything, like when I don't know, when we had money problems or whatever it was,
Yeah,
or
of
if
course,
we
of
had
course.
some. I didn't know these parts, or some, like they didn't tell me everything, but I saw them in their like one of their darkest places as well. And I didn't see them like less or like not strong after that anymore. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah,
weren't like
it makes them more
lesser.
human.
Yes, and
Yeah.
even stronger because they
Yeah.
showed both sides. And
See, but that's so beautiful that you can talk with them about it. Like,
yeah,
like even after something like that, I obviously had a similar moment like with my parents split up. Like I remember as
yeah,
well, it was like Easter, came home, they both like sat
on
on
the
the
table,
table
right?
and did like the honey, we need to tell you something talk, you know.
But did they contain themselves? Like, where they did you
Yeah.
see? Did you realize or feel that they were hurt?
No, I think they were. I see, that's something I don't know because my parents don't talk about it with me now. So for me, it was like, you know, I'm guessing, like, I obviously don't know, but I'm guessing that they were obviously thinking about it for a longer time that they were
Yeah,
splitting, and
yeah.
they're probably
Before they
already,
even
of
went to
course, like,
you,
I mean,
yeah.
if you have children, like, you're not gonna
Yeah.
like be like, oh yeah, I split up, this is it, fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
out. So they were really contained, and I just remember one day when they told me, I did the same. I ran away. I locked myself in the bathroom and just cried, and you know. And my parents were never really vulnerable. Like my dad afterwards, the way he showed his vulnerability was my mom had like a new boyfriend afterwards. Like she always told me, you know, she just got to know him randomly straight after the divorce, you know, like or straight after they decided to split. But I know that she
You
had a
knew
new,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like for me,
Yeah.
I think at least she never admitted it. I confronted her as an adult like a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I would like you to be honest to me. Like I'm in a situation, like I understand that my dad is not an easy person to be in a relationship with. Like I could never be with a person like that. And I have a lot of respect. She stayed in a relationship with a person that, you know, has like anger issues and screams at you because there's a water stain on your knife from the dishwasher at dinner after you came home from work, cooked and took care of everything, for no reason, just because he's frustrated. But she would never admit, you know, that that she had another boyfriend and stuff like that. And that is something that pisses me off, because it's something that is so obvious, like, you know it, like, and that is something.
And she can't even tell you the truth.
No. And my dad showed his hurt. Like, I never saw my dad cry. I don't think I ever saw my dad cry. I think maybe once when we had to give our dog away, maybe. But
it's like, he cries when there's something happening with animals, but humans, he doesn't care.
Exactly. I mean, it's not that he cares. I think he's just
I know, it was just,
you know, he's trying to be like the cool guy.
The tough
whatever,
one.
I don't care.
Yeah,
exactly. But the way you could see it, which I understand now, when you know how, like, the like, how different humans handle loss and, like, frustration and stuff. For him, he was talking a lot of shit about the boyfriend of my mom. Like, he would, I don't know if he would, like, make that shit up or if it was true, but he would always be like, oh yeah, and he does that, and he's such an asshole, and he does business with this and this, and you need to be careful with him. Like, he would literally talk shit about that guy nonstop, which, you know, just shows that he's hurt, obviously. Because I have to say, for me, the only time I kind of saw my dad vulnerable, and I'm not sure if I said that on stream or not, was it was actually this year, the birthday party of my stepbrother. It was just my dad that stayed with, like, a second, like, a friend of the family there, a lady, and she's, like, a really confrontal person. Like, she says everything where you would be like, oh shit, did she just really say that? And my dad, basically, he had my mom, and afterwards he was with my stepmom. They got divorced, and now they're just good friends. And my dad would say, like, he's always, like, really meanish, and says, like, oh yeah, I'm happy, I don't need anybody, I just need my dog. I'm happy that I have, like, finally I can live alone in my beautiful apartment and just have my dog to worry about it. Like, I never want to have a woman in my life again, like, be married or something. And she said to him, and they were both drunk, she said to him, like, oh yeah, you don't need to, we all know that you're miserable and lonely, and that you're just afraid of loving somebody again. And I was just sitting there, like, I was the driver, like, I was driving both, and I was like, oh shit, she just not say that. And that was, like, the only time I kind of saw, like, a glimpse of my dad, if that makes sense. He didn't cry or anything, but he was like, listen, I lost my one true love, which was my mom, for him. Like, he thought that they would be forever together. And he is so oblivious, I think, to the way he behaves. And, like, in his mind, there was no signs of that my mom is gonna break up with him. And she obviously told him, like, you need to change, you can't do this, like, I'm not happy. And then obviously you say that over years and years, and at one point you're just so frustrated that you decide to end the relationship. And in his mind, there was no signs before. She just decided that it's over. And when he realized that it's over, right, then my mom was over it, in the sense of she doesn't want to work on it anymore. For her, it's just over. It's too late to work on it. And that was the sorry, don't go in the backwards. Hi, doggy. And that was, like, the point for her, where it was just too late to work on that kind of stuff. And for him, it was then like, well, I didn't even get a chance to change anything, if that makes sense. And for him, with his second marriage, he again didn't see it coming. Like, they were always having, like, arguments and back and forth and whatever. And for him, again, it was like, oh, I didn't see it coming. It was just out of nowhere. I had to move out. I had to find my own apartment. I have to completely restructure my life at 60 again. Like, I would have never thought I'm in this life again. And so he said, do you really think that after 2 times thinking you're going to spend the rest of your life with a woman, and you gave everything to that person, and they just from one day to another decide to end it, do you really think I would do that to myself again? And that was like his answer. And that is like something so sad to think about, right? On the
Also,
one
like
hand,
he's been in the victim role.
yeah,
the
exactly.
whole
That's the
time.
thing. Like he just
Yeah,
sees
and
himself.
it's always easier to be there.
Exactly, and that is
Yeah.
something where you can just see that instead of reflecting after like maybe the first time, like, okay,
Yeah.
why did it not work out with that person? Maybe like,
Yeah.
as you said before, like in a relationship, it's always two people. Like you
Yeah.
can never just hear one side and be like, oh yeah, it's only the fault of the mom or the dad. Like
Yeah.
there's always a relationship, two people where both people fuck up in some ways, and then it doesn't work out, right? There's
Yeah.
always one person that compromises more to the other. But if you just always compromise, and the other person doesn't realize that the counterpart compromises for you all the time, at one point it's just most likely not, unless they compromise for the rest of their life, right?
Yeah.
There's probably people that do that and stay in relationships even though they're unhappy,
just for the sake of the peace.
Exactly, the children. Or like how it is for my mom now, like, oh yeah, but if I end this, I'm never gonna be happy again, you know?
But are you happy now though?
Exactly, that's the
like,
thing.
where's the point? You're not even happy now, so
exactly, so you could at least be happy alone, right?
Yeah.
So but that's the thing, what we talked about already as well, like the generation now are not even like, the time now is more on reflecting, learning, evolving, learning from your mistakes, having better communication, because that's also something like my parents, they had no communication skills in their relationship. Like they could not, at least from my perspective and what I remember as a child, like obviously like your memories are a little bit different as a child, but I don't think they were good at communicating, and that's a big issue. And I think my dad is still the same, you know. He would always like choke about things. He would never like be, I can't have a serious discussion with my dad, like even if we talk about like mental health or whatever it is, or that, I don't know, if we were even talking about, what was it? It was with my little brother and my stepmom, and we're all going to psychiatrists because we want to work on our mental issues. And we were talking about how, for example, I tried to attempt suicide twice in my life. Like once when my parents divorced when I was 11, and I ate 2 tubes of toothpaste, and which, you know, and then with 14 when my, or 15 when my no 16, sorry, my first boyfriend broke up with me, and I tried to slit my wrists and stuff. And instead of being shocked that that happened to me, he would joke about, yeah, well, but you're still sitting here, aren't you? You know, like that is just where you're like, okay, dude, like what the fuck is that reaction? And then of course I could be pissed for his reaction, but I'm at that point in my life where I just feel sorry for, like, I'm not pissed. I don't care about that reaction. Like I just feel bad for him, that I know that most likely in his lifetime he will not be able to work through issues or be able to communicate with people that he loves in a way that he knows that people appreciate, that he appreciates people, if that makes sense.
I think, like, from all, and not only this episode, but from all episodes, like if you put that together, how much you know about your dad, I think you know him better than he does.
Probably
himself.
I think so.
Does know himself. When it comes to the very like mentally concerning things, and as a person, you know that he's just, he has a heart like a tough shell, but he's not like, he doesn't want to crack open because of all these issues.
Exactly,
so
because he's afraid to get hurt again.
And in my opinion, like how I see it, you know him so much better than he actually knows himself. And that's crazy, especially when you think of the age. Like you are mentally at a stage barely like barely ever people get. You know what I mean? It's like
most
with
likely.
all these
I mean, at least
realizations.
compared to my parents, for example, like
Yeah, and a lot of people I know in general.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah, for sure.
you're this one person, literally the only person I know that worked so much on herself rather than trying to change everything around, because you blame everything around you, but you just for some things you just blame yourself, obviously, because you're the reason why that happened, right? And you're this one person that just knows so much about all these things because you wanted to change these things, and that's so rare, Julia. And
thank you, Stefie.
especially when people are getting older and at that age, they don't want to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're just so comfortable where they are.
Yes, because it's easier to complain and to be where you are than changing yourself or changing for the better, even for your own happiness. That's the thing. Like, it's always for your own happiness.
Of course, like in the end, like in the end, like, first of all, thank you that you say that. Like, I'm also really proud of that. Like, but I also don't want to sound like, oh yeah, you know, like, oh yeah, I know everything, and
no,
like,
no,
I fixed
not
everything.
at all. It's just, I hope people see that. Like, you're this one person that worked the most on herself. Like, I know from my, like, the people I know, and that's what I can say. I've never seen someone being so, how to say, so self-aware about all these things.
I mean, I still
like,
have
not
to
even
go
I am.
I mean, yeah, but you have to think about, like, you have a way better starting position, so you don't even have to work on those kind of things, because you are raised with a certain self-awareness, right? And not only
but that's even more impressive
also
that you change that, even though you never, you know what I mean? That's so impressive.
Yeah, I get that. So so thank you so much. But I obviously still need to do so much more, because, like, obviously I did a lot of work in a lot of ways, but the way I see it as well is, like, for me especially, like, I feel like I never want to stop that kind of learning process, because again, like, even though like, in the end, all of this helped me the most. Like, I did this for myself. Like, obviously it helps me in future relationships. Doesn't matter if it's work or love relationships or on stream or whatever it is. Like, it helps you in every part.
Children,
exactly. Really important to come back to this. It will help you in so many ways and relationships, and make other people be maybe more comfortable about around you, and when they're talking to you, and more open to open up towards you. But in the end, the person that helped the most was myself, because if I would have sat there next to my dad making a stupid joke about suicide or something like that years ago, I would have hurt myself, and I would have asked myself, how do I deserve a dad like this, and how can he be so you know, stupid and tasteless and whatever. And now instead I'm sitting there and I'm just feeling sorry for him, because I know that on the inside he doesn't mean it, but he just doesn't have a different way of expressing himself. If that makes sense. So it's more or less like a gift that you give yourself, that you kind of see through people being assholes, if you will, often. But in the end, they're just trying to protect themselves from something. You know, or they're afraid of sharing something of themselves that they're not comfortable sharing. So,
because emotions or showing emotions is a sign of weakness to them.
Exactly. To them, obviously.
And that is what's, like, totally not. It's the complete opposite.
Exactly. But there's something them, you need to learn to break free. And again, I think it was also in the interview, a good thing that Ryan Gosling said is that his parents raised him and his brothers to always be happy, in their lives. And he said so Ryan is raising his kids to be self-aware more. And that is something that I think is really, really beautiful and really, really smart. Like, really, you guys need to watch that interview, because if you need you know Ryan Reynolds, he's always known as like this funny, quirky guy.
Goofy.
But if you watch that, you realize, like, I think he's also a person that has spent many, many years in self-reflection, probably also therapy, read a lot of books, and he's really, really aware about how important it is to be self-aware, not only by yourself but also your children, and how much of a head start you give your children to raise them self-aware, because that's what I think you've been raised as. You've been raised really self-aware, but not also self-aware, but also aware of the people around you, and that they're not blessed to have the same point of view of things that you have. And that is also really important, that you're not like just blindly going through the world thinking that everybody has the same vision or view that you have, but that there are people that are not blessed or haven't. I mean, it sounds stupid being blessed like this, but it is a blessing in my opinion. It really is. Like I think it gives you a good head start in life if you don't have to. Because the thing is, like, not everybody is gonna work through that. Best example is my family. Like, I'm 99%.
Not many people work through that. Like,
because it's hard. Like, it's nothing. Yeah. It's nothing easy. It's nothing that you just like dedicate like 2 months to and then you're gone. Like, it's years and years of going through the motions and cracking a shell and finding. Your own shell.
That's
your
own
shell. Like, yeah, exactly.
The most, like, the hardest thing is to work on yourself. That's why any people do it.
Exactly. So the best that we can do. Yeah.
And that's also why I think you're gonna be one of the best, like, mothers out there.
Aww.
Because you know so much.
But so are you.
Oh, let's see. I probably will game most of the time. I'm just there. Max, go for it, please. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Mom, please give him the boop.
Never. I don't know if I want children, but I'm not sure when. And I hope I can just give them everything I got. It feels like so overwhelming because now whenever we talk and I reflect on all these things, it's like I realize how much they taught me, and I'm like, oh my god, how am I able to like teach them? How will I be able to teach?
I mean,
I don't know.
As I said, I'm going to talk about that dream that you have, where you told me in the dream that you're not going to have children, or that you're not sure if you want to have children. And I literally started crying because for me, and I could almost cry now just talking about it again, because for me, I know that if you and Max ever gonna have children, you're gonna do such a great job, and you're gonna raise such creative, self-aware, confident, loving human beings that like literally like I don't know, it just makes me so happy. And it doesn't matter if it happens or not, and even if you don't have children by yourself, I'm sure you're gonna at one point be some kind of godmother or aunt maybe for children of your siblings or something, and you're gonna be able to give them a message or give them some kind of mindsets or teach them some lessons that they're gonna be really thankful of having later in life. And if not, then you can also teach those on our podcast or on your stream. Like, that is also something I think that we both maybe underestimate, how talks like this, even if maybe not thousands of people listen to this podcast all the time, but maybe if it just motivates like 1 or 2 persons to kind of decide to go on a journey and learning more about themselves, and maybe about psychology or being self-aware, or being aware of the people you have in your life and why they behave the way they behave. I think that can change a lot. And if one person changes and they motivate another, you know, it's kind of like a domino effect where you can change a lot. And that is really beautiful.
Very beautiful. I'm gonna cry again.
This was probably the episode with the most tears so far. Like I was
it's just
able
so touching.
to contain them. I don't know
It's like,
why,
it's
but
so
I had a lot of
touching,
liquid in my eyeballs.
Just very important things. And
I
it was
think
such a
so.
great, like, it's so cool that you brought that up, Julia, because it's a very, like, it's so, as we said, like, it's so, we take that for so granted sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And you need to, like, you need to make yourself aware of this. Like, just appreciate your family, guys.
Yep, for sure. And maybe, ask your dad some questions or your mom some questions that you usually would not, like
sibling.
Or sibling, exactly. Like people, or even, it doesn't even necessarily need to be your family, but like maybe co-workers or friends that you just play with. Like, put some effort in learning to know maybe who they actually are. Like what is lying underneath, like this outside, because there's always a difference between how people portray themselves on like a shallow level of how they are, to actually showing their true selves and their true values and their true fears and stuff. And that can bring you way closer with people, even though if you have been close with them already.
It's like you probably just know the tip of the iceberg, but you don't know what's under the water.
Exactly. And I love hearing those stories and how people became the way they are. And or even if it's somebody that you don't get along and you just, because that person is like mean or whatever, like there's always reasons why people misbehave. It's the same with animals. There's a reason why dogs misbehave. There's a reason why children misbehave. There's a reason why you have this random dude in your Valorant game that when he dies first in a round and you are in a 1-4 and you miss the 4th headshot and he's gonna call you fucking
it's your fault,
idiot. That guy probably has some issues that he needs to talk about, but he can't, so he just like gets his fix by screaming at a person in a video game. So but I think that was again a very long episode. We can promise you that next week
it was a very interesting topic as well.
Yeah, I think so.
To be fair, it's like we shared a lot of like personal stories.
Yes, we did for sure. So thank you so much for watching. Next week is gonna be lighter. We're gonna introduce our third member to the Derps and Burps.
Yay!
We can't wait for that. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we see you again next week. Bye!
Bye, guys!
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Derps and Burps podcast.
If you enjoyed it, make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram at derpsnburps. See you online.